记者朋友，大家下午。
Good afternoon. Welcome to our press conference. First, two announcements. At the invitation of State Councilor and Foreign Minister Qin Joseph Borrell, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission, will pay a visit to China and hold the 12th round of China-EU high-level strategic dialogue from April 13th to 15th. At the invitation of State Councilor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang, German Foreign Minister Baerbock will pay an official visit to China from April 13 to 15. During the visit, the two foreign ministers will co-chair the 6th round of China-Germany strategic dialogue on diplomacy and security. Now questions, please.
谢谢发言人。新华社记者提问：中方刚发布欧盟外交。
You just announced that EU High Representative will visit China. How do you view the current China-EU relations and what expectations does China have? This year marks the 20th anniversary of the establishment of China-EU Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. China and EU have seen frequent high-level exchanges in recent weeks. Dialogue and cooperation has resumed across the world, and the China-EU relations have shown a positive momentum of growth. This will help both sides better implement the important common understandings of the leaders of the two countries and provide new impetus for the growth of China-EU relations and the peace, stability, and prosperity of the world. In an uncertain and volatile world fraught with global challenges, only by working together can the international community better meet the challenges. China and Europe are two major forces, two big markets, and two great civilizations in a multipolar world. China-EU relations have global influence and significance. China and the EU need to stay committed to our comprehensive strategic partnership, step up strategic communication and coordination, enhance mutual trust, focus on cooperation, remove obstacles, and work together to address global challenges. Next one, please.我有两个问题，第一个问题是有报道称中方计划在4月16日到18日在台湾岛北部设立禁飞区，你能否证实？第二是台湾方面称中方派出船只破坏了海底电缆，你能否回应？请记者重复第二个问题。Could you repeat your second question?台湾方面指称中国的一些渔船不断的切断台湾的这个水下电缆，你对此有何回应？
关于你提到的第一。
On your first question, I'm not aware of the relevant circumstances and refer you to the competent authorities. On the second one, I'm not aware of relevant information, but what I can tell you is that the DPP authorities, in an attempt to seek political selfish interests, reduced themselves to a pawn of anti-China forces and turned Taiwan into a powder keg. Such behavior is despicable. Next one, please.
发言人你好，从特斯社记者提问，请更多介绍一下秦刚外交部。
TASS, could you give us more details on the upcoming visits by Foreign Minister Qin Gang to Uzbekistan on April 12th and 13th? Besides the fourth meeting of Afghanistan's neighbors' foreign ministers, will he hold a one-on-one meeting with Russian foreign minister?
Earlier, we've released information on State Council Foreign Minister Qin Gang's visit to Uzbekistan for the meeting and the visit. As to your specific question, China and Russia are comprehensive strategic partners of coordination for a new era, and the two foreign ministers maintain close exchange through various means. Next one, please.
记者提问：中方刚发布了德国外长贝尔伯。
You also announced the upcoming visits by German Foreign Minister. How does China view the current relations with Germany, and what expectations do you have? China and Germany are all-round strategic partners. Last year, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of diplomatic ties. Over the past 5 decades or so, guided by the principle of mutual respect, mutual trust, and mutual benefit, China and Germany have made good progress and continue to deepen practical cooperation across the board. This has been a source of stability for and given a boost to the growth of China-EU relations and contributed to world peace and stability. State Councilor and Foreign Minister Qin Gang and Foreign Minister Baerbock will co-chair the 6th round of China-Germany strategic dialogue on diplomacy and security. They will have in-depth communication on our bilateral relationship, also the relationship with EU and international and regional hotspot issues. We believe under the current international circumstances, the strategic dialogue will help us to follow through the important consensus between the two leaders, enhance strategic communication, consolidate strategic mutual trust, and better coordinate to respond to global challenges. Next question, please.
谢发言人，总台央视记者提问：我们注意到今天外交部网站发布了关于阿富汗问题的中国立。
We noted the Foreign Ministry put out China's position on the Afghan issue on its website today. Could you share with us China's considerations? Afghanistan is China's important neighbor to its west. After fundamental changes took place in Afghanistan in August 2021, China has continued to follow the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence and pursue neighborhood diplomacy featuring amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness. We maintain contact and exchange with Afghanistan's interim government in an equal manner with respect, work intensively on multilateral coordination related to Afghanistan, including the 3 meetings of Afghanistan's neighboring countries' foreign ministers, which has played a positive and constructive role in the steady transition of the situation in Afghanistan. The country has an eventful history, and with much remains to be done, the country is at a crucial stage of shift from chaos to stability. To elaborate China's policy and propositions in a comprehensive and systematic manner and build consensus for stabilizing and helping Afghanistan, we issue the position, and the document covers 11 aspects, including adhering to 3 respects, 3 nevers, supporting moderate and prudent governance, supporting peace and reconstruction, supporting Afghanistan in countering terrorism, calling for greater bilateral and multilateral counterterrorism cooperation, urging the U.S. to live up to its commitments and responsibilities, strengthening multilateral coordination, facilitating solution to the country's humanitarian and refugee issues, and supporting the fight against narcotics. And the 4th meeting of foreign ministers of the neighboring countries of Afghanistan will be held in Uzbekistan tomorrow, and we will work with the international community continuously to help the country embark on a path of stability and development. Next question, please.
深圳卫视执新闻提问：据报道，4月11日，中国网络安全产业联
Shenzhen TV on April the 11th, China Cybersecurity Industry Alliance released a report disclosing a dozen cases revealing how U.S. intelligence engaged in hacking, surveillance, espionage, and leaking cyber attack weapons. Do you have any comment on this? We noted the report. It exposed the long history of U.S. government authorities' engagement in cyber attacks through concrete cases and the harm to global cybersecurity. Here, let's look at some of the cases. First, in 2010, it was found that the U.S. used Stuxnet virus to attack Iranian nuclear facilities. This was the first time in history that one state conducted cyber attack on a foreign country's critical infrastructure, opening Pandora's box on cyber warfare between states. In the year 2022, the U.S. Cyber Command declared that the U.S.'s goal is to own the domain. The second case, the worst ransomware in 2017, WannaCry, actually came from a cyber weapon leaked by the NSA. Ironically, in 2021, the U.S. brought together dozens of countries to launch a counter-ransomware initiative. The third case, in 2013, PRISM reviewed how the U.S. engaged in surveillance targeting many countries, including China. The U.S. even asked 9 internet giants, including Microsoft and Google, to work for its tapping programs and hacked the cyber equipment of Germany and the ROK and other countries. From 2018 till now, without any evidence, the U.S. has used data security as a pretext to suppress Chinese companies and coerced its allies, who are also victims, to join this activity.
Case 4. In 2013, the media exposed the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology uses its encryptography standards to install backdoors, which expands the targets of supply chain attacks from IT products to standards. On March 30, 2023, the U.S. top diplomat said at the Summit for Democracy that U.S. is working with partners to update and establish rules and norms so that technology is developed and used in ways that reflect what they call democratic values and interests. And Case 5, in 2015, the media disclosed U.S. government's project Camber Data, which is aimed to intrude, divide, and suppress foreign cybersecurity vendors and force them to dance to the tune of the U.S. As a result, few global cybersecurity vendors now choose to disclose cases of the U.S. government's cyber attacks, and some U.S. cybersecurity vendors have even become an accomplice of the U.S. government's disinformation campaign targeting other countries. These cases show once again that U.S. is the origin of cyber warfare, the biggest spreader of advanced cyber weapons, and the biggest global cyber thief. The so-called clean network and what the U.S. calls technology that reflects democratic values and interests are just a pretext for it to conduct cyber thefts and attacks and ensure its supremacy. The U.S. has been holding other countries to high standards, but clearly these standards mean little to the U.S. itself. This is textbook double standards. I need to stress that safeguarding cybersecurity is a shared responsibility for all countries. Cyberspace is not a battlefield or wrestling ground, still less should it be used as a tool to split the international community or contain and bring down other countries. It is in the international community's common interest to end the U.S. lawlessness on cyber theft and review its hypocrisy on cybersecurity. Next question, please.
谢谢。郭德税的记者提问：关于阿富汗。
Here the news. Does the Chinese government recognize the interim government in Afghanistan?
阿富汗问题的中国立场。
On China's position on the Afghan issue, we already released the document on our website. If you are interested, you can refer to that document. As to whether China recognizes the interim government, we've stated our position previously on many occasions. You can refer to that. Next one, please.
Just a PTI. Just a clarification of what you said about the Afghan, or rather interim government. The Chinese constant position was that there should be an inclusive government in Afghanistan, and Taliban should facilitate that. And the second thing is about the girls' education. as well as jobs for women to be allowed. That was a rather global demand, including by the United Nations, backed by China in the past. So considering that the years passed, how China looks at these two issues and what exactly is the China stand on this?
想再追问一下关于阿富汗的问题。第一是中国一贯倡导在阿富汗建立具有包容性的政府，也要求塔利班对此进行协助。那么中方现在的立场是如何的呢？第二个问题是关于妇女和女性的教育，以及允许妇女从事工作，这是在国际社会的一个共同要求，并且联合国也提出这个要求，中国过去也是对此支持的。但是随着这几年时间的流逝，在这方面好像没有什么进展。那么中方是怎么看待这两个问题的呢？
你提到的这两个问题啊，我们
On your two questions, our positions are consistent. We support the Afghan government in adopting moderate, prudent and inclusive policies. We also noted that the Afghan interim government stressed on many occasions the importance of protecting women's rights and issued legislation. We hope these positions will be implemented and the relevant side will work to resolve relevant issues through consultation as soon as possible. Next one, please. The paper, the Russian Defense Ministry, revealed that the U.S. has resumed biomilitary activities in Ukraine after renaming relevant program. The State Duma of Russia adopted an investigation report on U.S. biomilitary activities. Do you have any comments? We have noted the reports. The U.S. conducts more biomilitary activities than any other country in the world. It is also the only country that refuses to subject itself to verification. This has long caused serious concern from the international community. Regretfully, however, aside from empty slogans, the U.S. has never made meaningful clarification. Moreover, it remains the only one opposing multilateral negotiation on a verification mechanism, making it impossible to resolve the BWC compliance issue. It even tried everything to thwart negotiations on an international convention to combat acts of chemical and biological terrorism, an initiative that obviously serves the common interests of all humanity. On international security, the U.S. always stresses compliance with conventions and asks others to subject themselves to verification. But why the silence on its own compliance in biosecurity? What is it trying to cover up? The rest of the world would not accept the U.S.'s double standards or allow it to enjoy impunity on issues that bear on world peace and security. We support the international community to review U.S. compliance so as to truly safeguard the authority and efficacy of the BWC. We once again urge the U.S. to earnestly live up to its international obligations, offer clarifications, and subject itself to verification on biomilitary activities at home and abroad, and stop thwarting international efforts to strengthen the biosecurity governance system and legal framework. Next one, please.
Hi, question from Bloomberg. Sri Lanka's central bank governor told Bloomberg that he expects China to support the country's effort to restructure debt. Does China plan to negotiate bilaterally or as part of a creditor group for the Sri Lanka debt negotiations? And what form of debt relief would Beijing be willing to offer? Thank you.
关于斯里兰卡的债务，
具体谈判问题建议。
Regarding the specific issues about the negotiation, I refer you to the competent authorities. Broadly, I would like to point out that as the official bilateral creditor, the Exim Bank of China provided a financing support document to Sri Lanka saying that the bank is going to provide an extension on the debt service due in 2022 and 2023, which means Sri Lanka will not have to repay the principal and interest due during this period to help relieve Sri Lanka's short-term debt repayment pressure. Meanwhile, the bank would like to have friendly consultation with Sri Lanka regarding medium and long-term debt treatment in this window period, and it will make best efforts to contribute to the debt sustainability of Sri Lanka. I would also like to reiterate that China always supports Chinese financial institutions in actively consulting with Sri Lanka to discuss a solution, and we work together with other countries and international financial institutions to play a positive role to help Sri Lanka. At the same time, we call on commercial and multilateral creditors to take part in the restructuring and in the principle of fair burden sharing.
提问，我们看到近日有美国媒体报道，在多
We noted there are reports there are some disclosed confidential documents from the U.S. military which show that the U.S. government is deeply entangled in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and it is having surveillance over its allies. This is not first time for such information to be revealed. Do you have any comments? We noted many media outlets have pointed out that these documents disclosed clearly show that the U.S. is deeply entangled in the Ukraine crisis. It also indicates that the U.S. has long used its technology edge to conduct indiscriminate cyber threat and surveillance over its allies. The U.S. owes the world an explanation. And also, the U.S. top diplomat said at the so-called Summit for Diplomacy that the country will work with its allies to develop technology that is in line with the democratic interests and values. But facts once again show that the so-called common values are just a pretext for the U.S. to seek geopolitical selfish interests. Next question, please.
Hi, from AFP. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken vowed yesterday to stand with the Philippines against any intimidation or coercion, including in the South China Sea. Given that China has said the ongoing U.S.-Philippine military drills should not interfere in the South China Sea, what's China's response to Blinken's remarks?
布林肯昨天表示，美国和菲律宾将共同应对胁迫和恫吓。那么，考虑到近期中方也表示美菲军演不应该这个影响南海的局势，你对此有何回应？
我们注意到。
We have noted that on the 11th, the Philippines and the U.S. held their 2+2 ministerial dialogue and released a joint statement. It called on China to comply with the so-called 2016 arbitral award. It also mentioned that the two sides will support swift operationalization of new sites in the Philippines, and the U.S. will offer funding support. Earlier, Philippine President Marcos said that China's response to the additional U.S. military bases in the Philippines is not surprising. Do you have I would like to respond by saying that we express our solemn concern and strong disapproval to the joint statement. China has indisputable sovereignty over islands in the South China Sea and their adjacent waters. The statement distorts and smears China's lawful law enforcement activities and even used unfounded rumor to smear China. We firmly oppose them. The so-called South China Sea Arbitral Award is against international law, including UNCLOS. It is illegal now and void. China does not accept or recognize it. That is clear and firm. We are ready to properly manage maritime disputes through negotiation and consultation, but will firmly uphold our sovereignty and maritime interests and rights. As to the U.S. military sites in the Philippines, I've stated our position. Actions speak louder than words. The locations of the new sites speaks fully to their intention, and the statement by the U.S. and the Philippines about swift operationalization of the new sites as another footnote to their intention. So there is no need for us to interpret any further. And our response certainly should not come as any surprise. The Asia-Pacific is the common home of regional countries, and the key to its peace and stability lies in mutual trust, solidarity, and cooperation between regional countries. We need to take the lifeline of security in the region firmly in our own hands. We'd like to remind regional countries that pandering to external forces will not help to protect national security, but will only aggravate tensions, harm regional peace and stability, and will harm themselves. Next one, please.
PTA again. President Lula of Brazil is visiting China. Will there be a discussion on BRICS, especially going forward, its future? And considering Brazil also is an active partner. Thank you.
想问一下关于巴西总统卢拉访华的事情，他是否会和中方探讨有关金砖的事务，尤其是金砖未来的发展？
We have released information about the visit and our expectation for the visit. More specifics will be released in due course. Please stay tuned. As to BRICS cooperation, our position is consistent. We are ready to work with relevant countries on the basis of mutual respect, equality, to advance BRICS cooperation and contribute to world peace and development and solidarity and cooperation between developing countries. Next one, please.
For saying that Europe should follow neither the U.S. nor China when it comes to Taiwan. Former U.S. President Trump yesterday accused Macron of pandering to China. You've previously stated China's stance on Taiwan, but would you be willing to comment specifically on Macron's remarks and the controversy surrounding them? Thank you.
马克龙近日在台湾问题上的表态持续遭到批评。他此前关于说欧洲不应追随美方或者是中方立场的这个表态，也在昨天遭到了美国前总统特朗普的这个回应。他说这个显然是法国在顺从中国。你对此有何回应？
你是法新社的记者。
You are with AFP, and you are particularly interested in news about the visit by President Macron. That is only natural. I think not long ago, President Macron paid a successful visit to China. The two sides reached important common understandings, which injected new impetus into cooperation between China and France and China and the EU. We noted that President Macron's remarks about Europe's autonomy and avoiding getting involved in bloc confrontation has drawn some criticism, especially from the US. We are not surprised at this. a certain country doesn't want to see other countries showing independence and autonomy. They want other countries to take orders from themselves. But autonomy will win more respect and friends, and those pursuing coercion and pressure will only be met with more opposition and rejection. Next one, please.
还有其他的问题吗？
Anything else?
Actually, one more question from AFP. The Foreign Ministry of Honduras has said that it met with Chinese officials to work out bilateral economic agreements. Could you give us any details of this meeting and any potential agreements? Thank you.
洪都拉斯外交部官员表示，近期和中方进行了商谈关于经济方面的合作，你能否提供更多细节？
Could you repeat your question, please?
The Foreign Ministry of Honduras has said that it met with Chinese officials to work out some bilateral economic agreements. Could you give us any details of these meetings and what potential agreements there could be? Thank you.
洪都拉斯外交部表示，近期和中方官员正在协商签订一些双边经济协议。你能否介绍这些是什么协议，以及协议的细节？有可能双方会达成哪些潜在的协议？
你提到这个问题呢，之前我们已
We've repeatedly answered this question previously. You can refer to our answers. I would like to reiterate here that we welcome the Honduran government to establish and develop diplomatic relations with China, and on the basis of the One China principle and on the basis of mutual respect and equality, we are ready to advance cooperation with the country to deliver benefits to both peoples. Any other question? If there's nothing else, that's all for today. Thank you.